are live. We are official. And Dave, are you excited to be here? This is our very first live broadcast.
I'm pumped, Jay. I'm super excited about this. This is awesome. I never in 1,000 years thought I'd be doing this. So thank you.
So I'm ready. You ready to kick it? And we're
ready
going to talk about the tips and valuable tips of buying a new car. Here it goes.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
All right, it's official. I want to welcome everybody to our live podcast. And we want you to gain valuable information today. We're going to keep it fun. It's raw. It's uncut. You're more than welcome to put comments in there. We have a lot to talk about today, Dave, don't we?
Absolutely, Jay. We sure do.
And so my name is Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent.
I'm David Marks with Quality Auto STL.
And please like and subscribe to our podcast. There's going to be several different ways. If you look at the little scrolling on the very bottom of the screen, go to subscribe.theautoauthorities.com. We appreciate it so much for you to be here today. And we are talking about buying a new car.
Yeah, that's right, Jay.
So I'll tell you this. You obviously, Dave knows my background. I spent 18 years in the dealership world before I started iAutoAgent, and it's pretty complicated to buy a new car these days. That's for sure. It's not just complicated for the consumer, though. It's actually complicated for the dealers as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So breaking this down, what I find, Dave, is that when people are going to buy a brand new car, sometimes they're just going out and just aimlessly looking at cars. Have you ever experienced that before? I mean, I know that you don't sell the new cars, but with your clients, have you ever talked to your clients and they say, well, we're going to go look at new cars, and they're going to look at Tahoes and Suburbans, and they're looking at $40,000-$50,000 cars. They want their payments to be at $400 a month.
Yeah, they don't have a clue. They haven't done any research. They don't know where to begin, and they don't know where to begin.
They don't. And what we're going to talk about today is really taking the elephant, is what I call it, and buying a new car is like an elephant. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today, and we're going to try to get in as much information as we can in the 30 minutes that we have. And if we don't get to that information, we'll talk about it in another episode. But also, if you're watching today, please comment. We want to hear your feedback. And we want to make sure that this is valuable information. And if there are topics that you want to talk about and you want to hear about, please leave them in the comments below, and we might just take care of those comments on a future episode. So I'm just going to get right into it. If you're out there looking at a vehicle, you better darn well know your budget. And when it comes to the budget, it's not just, this car costs $40,000 and it's going to be $800 a month. There's a lot of things involved in buying a new car, and most people don't think about. How about this thing called insurance? In the state of Missouri, you need insurance to drive a car. And depending on how great of a driver you are, you may be a wonderful driver, but you may not be such a great driver, and your insurance rates might not be so wonderful. So you really have to think about, call your insurance agent, call them and ask them, what is my insurance going to be if I buy this vehicle? And I'm going to tell you a story about, and Dave, you know this person. I am not going to name any names because they may be watching.
Guilty.
But Dave, do you remember when you called me about, let's just call him Bobby. And Bobby came to me and he's like, hey, I want a Toyota Tacoma.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's like, I want to be at $300 a month. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. He wanted a used vehicle. And the problem is most people don't know what $300 a month equivalents into. And frankly, the dealers get frustrated when you're out there, you wanting to be $300 a month, and you're looking at $40,000 cars. On a 5-year loan, it's about $18 to $20 per thousand on a 5-year loan. So if you're looking at a $300 a month payment, you better be looking at a $15,000 car, not a $40,000 car that's $800 a month. So Bobby said to me, he's like, oh yeah, well, that's what I want, and I want a Tacoma. I'm like, well, that just doesn't equivalent into things. So
an older one.
So you don't waste your time. Let's talk about the next part of it, is maintenance. And a lot of new vehicles nowadays come with maintenance. They come with oil changes, they come with tire rotations, and that's great. That's very, very helpful. But what happens after 2 years? And then you get to go see Dave, right, Dave?
That's right. Why do you think dealers do that, Jay? I'm just going to throw a question out at you. Why do you think they offer that for the first 2 years?
Because what the dealers want to do is, when you go to a dealer and you look at these beautiful buildings, there are 30-foot ceilings and marble floors and Starbucks coffee in the service department. Some of these dealers have cafes. That's where the real money's made, is in that service department. And what they want to do is get you on a schedule. So if you get used to going to the dealer every 5,000 miles for your oil changes, then you start getting accustomed to things. And that's us as humans. We all get accustomed to things. So if you do the same thing for 2 years straight, then you're probably, after 2 years, you're probably going to go back to that dealer. That's why. And if so, like, for instance, they're like BMW, they have 3 or 36,000 miles of maintenance, which is great. But what do you do after 36,000 miles? You got to fork over a pretty penny. That's what you have to fork over. So what you should do is do the research. And Dave, let's since we're talking about maintenance, where's the best way for somebody to figure out, like, what maintenance that the vehicle needs?
The owner's manual. It's every car comes with one, and they print those books still for a reason.
Yeah. So if you look at the owner's manual, and maybe you call the dealer and say, okay, I have let's just say a Toyota Tacoma, okay? Because this is what Bobby wanted. Again, we won't call him, by his real name. But he wants a Toyota Tacoma, and he should look at what a 30,000 mile service costs, because usually services are at 30, 60, and 90,000 miles. So every 30,000 miles, you have a pretty significant cost to service. So if you know that the service is going to be $1,500, when you are budgeting for your car, don't put down every single penny you have on that car. And especially right now with tax time, people are putting down ungodly amounts of money. And that's not the smartest thing to do, unless you do have, of course, money saved up. And you should have 3 to 6 months of expenses. I'm not going to play financial planner here. Maybe we should bring on a financial planner as a guest, one day.
Sounds good to me.
Because then they can help, understanding, the budgeting aspect. So now we have the cost of the car. You've got insurance. You have this thing called maintenance, but there's also this thing called personal property tax. And personal property tax is not something people think about in Missouri. In the state of Missouri, anything that you own after January 1st, guess what? You're going to pay personal property tax on that vehicle. And so that's why a lot of people try to wait till after January 1st to take delivery of the vehicle so they can delay the personal property tax 1 year. But the reality of things of this is that there's a lot of costs involved that people are not thinking about. Mm-hmm. So let's just say we're in fantasy land, and everybody did it perfect. They've got their budget together and everything. So then what do? The second step is, once you know how much money you have, you determine whether you're going to finance it, you're going to pay cash, or you're going to lease the vehicle. If you decide to pay cash for the vehicle, once again, you might want to think twice about that based on how much money that you have and or down payment that you would put as far as financing goes. So if you don't have a lot of money and then you're just going to go pay cash for a brand new car with it, and it leaves you with nothing, well, then that's what you have, is nothing. And then that's why people are getting into trouble these days. Dave?
Yep.
I know I'm talking a lot.
No, it's okay. I love it.
Yeah. So here's the next step. You determine, if you don't have, I'm just going to use the Tacoma as an example. It's a $40,000 car. Most people are buying, $25,000, $30,000 car, and a $25,000 car is going to be about $500 a month. A $30,000 car is going to be about $600 a month. And this is on a 5-year loan. So then you have to figure out, okay, and there's all kinds of calculators online. You want to find out not only how you want to pay for it, but when you decide you want to finance the vehicle, where do you find, interest rates? And here is my number one, this is a golden nugget for people. My company, iAutoAgent, we have amazing relationships with credit unions. Credit unions are the very easiest places to do business with. They can get deals done fast, and they can give you answers. I'm not saying don't go to a bank, but not credit unions' specialty is auto loans. They can get them done like that.
Wow.
And and so when you take that price of the car and you plug it into a financial calculator, you can just do a Google search, or some of the dealers have websites. Look on that credit union website and figure out, what is the going rate? Dave, do you like surprises?
Hell no. That's what I built my business around.
Right. And I'm talking about the bad surprises. I like good surprises, right? But it's going to be a bad surprise when you walk in that dealer and you're wanting to go ahead and spend, oh my gosh, $40,000 for a vehicle. And let's say you don't go to the credit union. Let's say you just go straight to the dealer and you find out it's an $800 a month payment. Well, the dealers are going to be frustrated. Like, hey, why are you looking at a $40,000 car when you wanted a $400 a month payment? Right? So be smart. Go on the local credit union's websites, get the interest rates, figure out, just using that simple calculator. Everything's online, but you got to know where to find this information, because the internet's information overload. Put the figures in there with the interest rate, and now you have a monthly payment. That's how you can figure, voila, right? So yes, if you put a $40,000 car in for 5 years, it's going to be $18 to $20 per thousand, and yes, it's going to be between upper $700 to $800 a month. If your budget is $400 a month, okay, that's a $20,000 car. But if that $400 a month does not include your insurance, it doesn't include personal property tax or maintenance, you might want to back down that price to maybe $17,000, which is going to be $340 a month, $350 a month, depending on what your credit is, and that's a whole other topic, right? I'm figuring people with perfect, or close to perfect credit. So you're doing yourself a disservice going into the dealer without being prepared. So let's talk about the next part of it. And Dave, what is your experience with loans? Or do you have any experience on loans as far as the terms and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, I financed this, this shop through the U.S. Bank. I mean, mine are all on 60-month loans.
So that's more of like a business.
Yeah. I don't have any experience with auto loans, so I can't.
So everybody open up their ears, because the 5-year loan is kind of the run-of-the-mill loan. And most loans out there are what we call no prepayment penalty loans. Pretty much every loan is like that. So if you pay on it early, it's not going to affect you. So you can take a 5-year loan, you can turn it into a 2-year loan, 3-year loan. That's kind of the norm, and it gives you some cash flow at least. Don't necessarily limit yourself to 3 and 4-year loans, because it's not really worth it, and interest rates don't vary that much. But let's talk about the 6 and 7-year loans. This is the scary part, because everything looks really good when you take it out a longer term. Let's just take out a 30-year fixed loan, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to buy the house.
Well, some of these cars are $100,000, and some of these cars you do need to take out 30-year fixed loans, and some of these cars cost more than our house payments.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that 6 to 7-year loan. When that is suggested to you, I want you to really think about this now, because if you're offered a 6 to 7-year loan on a new vehicle, by the time you're going to break even on that, on a 6-year, is sometime after 5 years. Now, most people are hopping out of their cars about every 3 to 3.5 years. So what do you think that does, Dave?
That leaves you upside down.
Upside down, exactly. And
You
upside down. And so what upside down means is you owe more than what the car is worth. And when you go in and you're taking these 6 and 7-year loans out, and you decide you want to hop out of your car in 3.5 years, be prepared to owe more money on that car than what it's worth. And it will cost you. And it's a never-ending cycle. Because after you're $3,000 or $4,000 out of equity, well, what do most people do, Dave, especially when they don't sign up, when they don't save money? They roll it into
another loan.
Exactly. So then you roll it into the next loan, and you're buying another $25,000 car. Now you're financing $29,000. And you wonder after so many years why that you can't get out of your cars. So if you just take a step back, not get rushed into anything, and make sure you make that decision on what you should do as far as the term of the loan. Even a 5-year loan, break-even point's 3.5, 4 years. So if you're hopping out of your car every 2 to 3 years, we need to be talking about leases, and we will talk about that down the road in very extensive detail. Because one of the things I suggested to Bobby is I said, Bobby, we need to look at a lease. And believe it or not, I can get unbelievable lease deals on vehicles. I mean, would blow your mind. I can get lease deals sometimes under $400 a month on a $40,000 vehicle.
Wow.
With zero down. And we can talk about that later, and that'll be a really fun topic. But just kind of moving along is, once you've determined that, the very next thing you should do, you shouldn't even be looking at cars until you know that. But the next piece is then you research the car. And Dave, I'm going to put this, to you. what do you think people should do when they're researching cars? Because you're the guy that sees all the cars and you know what works and what doesn't work.
I mean, they all have problems. You can spend $500,000 on a Rolls Royce. They still got Rolls Royce technicians. They all break. I don't care if it's Honda, Toyota, BMW. Like you said, they're making money in the service departments, and the dealerships mainly do warranty work, so they get enough warranty work rolling through the door to keep a full service department staffed and full. So, I think buy what you think you look good in. I mean, that's really what I tell people. I don't really think it, because they're all going to break. They're mechanical. They got internal moving parts. All these manufacturers have these dealerships for, a reason. People pick on, GM, but, GM produces more and sells more than anybody in the U.S. still. So, yeah, they're going to have more of this because there's just more of them on the road compared to a Subaru. There's 2 Subaru dealers in the St. Louis market. So you don't really hear a whole lot about that. But GM, you do, because there's more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is so true. And really, the main place that you're going to want to go when you're researching the cars, there's a lot of great forums out there. Just do the research, type in the year, make, and model that you're looking for. And pretty much every make and model has forums. And this is what I recommend. Look for patterns of things that people talk about. And I'm going to talk about the negatives, the negative patterns. Because just like you said, Dave, they all break. But there are certain vehicles that definitely have more of I'm going to say a reputation than other vehicles out there.
Well, I get it.
So what I recommend is you're going to want to go to forums and look for patterns. If somebody says this model, it has a transmission problem, and I've taken it to the dealer 16 times and they still can't figure it out. In fact, I'm going to tell you a really quick story, and I know we're not going to get through all of this today, and we have about 5 more minutes to wrap up. But I'm going to tell you about a story that one of my clients came to iAutoAgent, because one of the things that we do with iAutoAgent is we help people buy cars nationwide. We do. And we take the, having to sit around the dealer for many, many hours and really taking it and just streamlining it. And the dealers love it too. Because what we do is we take out all the slack. We get down to the bottom of things. And I had a client of mine, a very successful dentist, that came to me, and they were getting out of a Mercedes, out of all things. It just wasn't the right size for them. And they wanted to buy, and I'm just going to say the vehicle. It was a Lincoln Aviator. And they were all excited about it. And we even got the dealer to take the test drive to them. They were all excited about it. But it turns out there is something about this vehicle that they can't figure out a fix for. And he found that out by going to forums. I didn't know about it. And then his friend, who's a mechanic that actually knows about the vehicles, he started talking about that to them. And so he was able to make an educated decision. And I'm going to talk about a very important thing, and here's another golden nugget. Whenever you buy a car, the very first year, you are what we call a laboratory test rat.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that, Jay. I thought about that too. When they redesign something, don't buy the first year, wait a couple years.
I don't recommend it. And it's the same as like a cell phone. Do you want to be the laboratory test rat? Or do you want to have something that is all the bugs are ironed out of the vehicle? You don't have to worry about it. Everything is everything is good, and you don't have to worry about people. You know what I'm saying, Dave? Like I'm trying to figure out the words. It's not saying that the vehicle is going to be perfect, But if you can just go the second or third year, maybe it's the same as a cell phone. So don't ever buy a vehicle the first year. That's just these are all my opinions and your opinions, obviously, Dave.
No, I agree 100%, Jay. I mean, I agree. I mean, they can do all the research and development they want, but with their test tracks and whatnot. But until they start selling them at dealers and putting in consumers' hands, they only know so much.
Exactly, and I can tell you instant after instance, but that's when you get on these research forums and you really start understanding what you should be looking for, and again, looking for those patterns of issues. And then the last part of it that I'm going to leave you with, and then we'll talk about the next part in because we're going to do this every Tuesday at 5:30. We're going live, and it's also being broadcast on iTunes and Pandora, pretty much every type of podcast method that you could possibly think of. So here's the next piece is I want you to take your time when you find the vehicle, and I want you to vet the dealers, because there are some amazing dealers all around the country. And there are some dealers that are not amazing. And the way that you figure this out is this. You go into the reviews. Go into the Google reviews. Go into the Facebook reviews. Figure out, again, if there's patterns out there. Look at the dealers that you want to deal with. Don't go to the place that's closest to you. Go to the best place that has the best reputation. And, that's one of the things that we do at iAutoAgent is when we are helping people buy vehicles is we're taking those steps to research the dealers. We already have our preferred dealers. We have dealers that we absolutely love, because what we can do is we can actually call the dealer and we can get a straight answer from them. And they're happy to give it because they know when they give that answer that they could potentially have a client. So I'm gonna kind of end at that. But Dave, what I would really like to talk about is continuing our conversation on this, because the next piece, and this is one of my very favorite pieces, and this is going to be an amazing episode. We're going to talk about when you see something on a dealer website, you're going to need to do some more digging. They have all kinds of incentives from these manufacturers. You don't know what you qualify for. You don't know what you don't qualify for. Because what the dealers are doing is they're putting every incentive in the world on the website. And then you get to go sift through them and try. It's a very complicated mess of a situation. That's one of the reasons I love my buyer's agent program so much. We research all that. We dig through all that. And we want to talk about preparing yourself to walk into the dealer. How can you eliminate a 4 to 7 hour, typical experience? Because that's what it is. But a lot of it isn't. It isn't always the dealer's process that is the fault. It is the consumer as well. And when the consumer knows what they want, the dealers love that, because the quicker that they can get down to the bottom, the faster that they can get in and out. And I tell you this, that is going to be an amazing episode, Dave. I'm very, very excited to do this.
Sweet.
We're reaching the time. If anybody's listening, I shouldn't say if anybody's listening, whoever is listening, please like and subscribe. Please, please, please share this. We want to just share great information with people. Again, these are our opinions. People may not like them, but they are our opinions. And after 25 years of doing this, and Dave, you've been doing this 22 years, and I know that this topic's more on my end. Let's really dig in next week and really hit it hard.
Cool. Oh, I love this.
So, so again, my name's Jay Grossman from iAutoAgent. I'm the CEO and founder, and I really appreciate everybody joining us today. And and Dave from Quality Auto STL. We're going to be back next week. Watch for episode number 8. We're signing off. Please leave your comments. Let us know the topics you want to hear. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, Jay.